Well, hello and welcome to the Neil's Appeal. I screwed up bad and I need some grace right now, y'all. I screwed up the time zones. We did all that talking and I didn't even realize that I put 9 p.m. Eastern, um, thinking Carlton was Eastern with me too. I forgot. You're in Alabama, Carlton?
No, I'm actually in Dallas, Texas, just north of Dallas.
You in Dallas, Texas.
Yes, ma'am. I'm
Yeah.
from Alabama, but I live in Dallas by way of the
From
military.
There we go. There we go. From Alabama. I screwed that up. So I apologize that, the viewers might be asleep right now. I put coffee on my post. See if they can just go get them a sip of coffee and get on out here and meet us. But it's okay. We get a lot of people that go back and like just recap or rewatch it. So I know that on tonight you have something very special to share. And no matter when these people view it or see it, it'll be the right time whenever they do. That's what I believe. So
Yes,
I
ma'am.
thank you for coming on and joining us and being with us tonight. You have a story and it needs to get out. So we want to give our viewers a chance, anybody who's still woke, to log on. We're live on Facebook and we also live on YouTube. So y'all like, comment, and share. Anybody that's out there listening to us right now. We'll give y'all a minute to get situated, and then we're going to jump right in. We understand it's late. We don't want to hold y'all up too late, but hey, you can go back and watch this at any time. So we're going to get going. Carlton, how was your day today?
It was amazing. It was amazing. First of all, I want to thank your husband and yourself for allowing me on your platform. I don't take that lightly. Anytime anybody brings you to their platform, they trust you to be an extension and a representative of them. So I want to thank you both for allowing me the opportunity to speak on your platform. My day was amazing. Actually, I was out looking for the next venue for the men's summit, and we're pretty sure we'll get into that a little bit later. But stepping out on faith, following God's lead, and yeah, the day turned out to be great. And so, any day for me above ground is always a great day. Anyway.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Fred, your day?
It's long, always long as usual. I mean, my day requires a lot of windshield time, so I get an opportunity to put well, most of our mentor that we mentor pretty much for the most part in between my ears. That way, something positive is always happening or going on or whatever. So it's try to just refrain from the negativity and the daily struggles that we deal with on a day to day basis or what have you. So. Um, Sai, I'm nice to meet you, for the first time last night or what have you. So, but yeah, I'm just interested in hear, more of your spontaneity and your story and pray that there's a community out there that needs to hear what you have to share with us.
Yeah.
A-
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to go here. We're not going to belabor. We got a lot to cover, a little bit of ground to get it covered in. So we're going to go ahead on and get started. We're meeting with Carlton Young on tonight. They call him, is it CY?
Yeah, they call me CY.
They
CY.
call you, they call him CY, and we about to CY. Well,
Come on with the bars.
we want to welcome you to the Neil's Appeal, marriage, relationships, and other stuff on tonight, where we're cultivating kingdom relationships, not our way, but the King's way. And we know everybody's saying no kings these days, but there is one king. And we're here to remind you that he still reigns, still restores, and still rules with love. We gladly honor and welcome this king to govern our lives, and that is none other than King Jesus. So
Amen.
we just want to thank you all and thank you for joining us tonight. And we're going to go ahead on and get started.
All right.
Before we dive in, we want to remind you we're not counselors nor therapists, so we're just regular folks, whatever. Little do we know this not only helps the people, this helps us first,
Yes.
those that are actually doing the actual podcast, what have you. So, so we're just so thankful for CY. Of course, that's what. So we're interested in the CY. Saying they call him CY. For the most part. We'll get into all that or whatever. But we're so thankful and grateful for him spending his time with us on this evening, what have you. So let's get in it.
Yeah, like Fred said, we're not your therapist, but we can coach you, right? We're simply two kingdom believers sharing real conversations about life, love, and lessons learned, and hoping that something we say helps you along your journey. So, tonight, what you got, Fred?
Well, tonight's episode is just one of those stories that'll make you stop and thank God for His grace, for His mercy and His grace, what have you. So,
absolutely, our guest tonight is Carlton. He's lived through what most people wouldn't survive once, and we titled this "From Tombs to Testimony." We're talking near-death experiences, life-altering encounters, and the miraculous journey of how grace rebuilt a man who had every reason not to be here. Let's come on and jump on in. Carlton, let's get started with tell us your story. Carlton, tell us, start us adolescence, and of course we're going to get into I want to hear you. Like in my Facebook post today, I did put that a couple of the stories that you shared with me, your near-death experiences, right? Mm-hmm. But to hear them from your mouth, like when you were saying about driving down the road on that icy road, right? I need you to, I want you to tell that again, but go ahead on and start us, give us the beginning of your story, and then we'll get into all what you're doing and everything now. But come on, let's get started with your beginnings.
Okay. Well, I am a young man, born and raised in Birmingham, Alabama, born to a 19-year-old woman. My mother, her name is Elizabeth Young, who didn't know my biological father. Lived in the same city, never seen the dude a day in my life. Live in a couple neighborhoods over. If he would have walked up to me, I wouldn't have known who he was, except for everybody says that I look like him. So that might have been a clue for me to know who he was. But just coming up, I was actually talking to my mom today. We talk pretty much every day, and she was saying at about 3 or 4 years old, I asked her. She said, "You had the wherewithal and the discernment to ask where was your dad." Now we live with my mom, my grandmother, my grandfather, and my uncle, and my two uncles at that time. And she said, "Well, God's gonna bless me to find you a dad." So she ended up marrying my stepdad, the man I called my dad at 4 years old, who raised me. He was a great man. He was an honorable man. He didn't talk much though. But from that, right, there's this inherent attack on my identity at an early age, because now I want to fit in with the wrong crowds. And I always found myself, being drawn to the wrong crowds, looking for affirmation. So I stayed in trouble the majority of my adolescence, either from, at one time they said they wanted to put me on Ritalin. My mom wouldn't allow them. And these days, if the parent says no, they probably would have put her in jail. And at that time, they allowed her to be my parent. So when got in so much trouble that my dad was in the Air Force. When they got married when I was 4 years old, we moved from Florida to Germany to Great Falls, Montana. So by the time we moved to Montana, I was about 14 years old. I ended up getting in some trouble in the military that kind of had to force my dad to retire early. And the beautiful thing about this story is, right, that man, my mom said, he never not once said, "This is your son." He never not once, said, put a difference between me and my baby sister at the time. Because my mom and my dad, they ended up having my baby sister when I was 7 years old. So she was 7 years younger than me. And he never threw that up in my face. He parented me, like most men do. And he loved on me through a lot of things. And, he's the measure of the man that I aspire to be at this point in my life, right? Because he modeled it, right? He was a gentle giant. Um, what he said he meant, but that's just kind of my upbringing. I would always assimilate to the wrong group of people. I would always get into trouble. And now that I look back at my life and I see what God is doing with me, I understand that it was an attack on my identity to get me off the track of who God had designed me to be so I could be something else other than what God called me to be, right? There's only one thing that the devil can stop. He can't stop what God placed in me, but he can stop me from releasing it to the earth.
That's right.
That's
And
right.
so that was his goal, was to stop me from becoming this man and understanding the identity of who God called me to be, and that I was a mighty man of valor, no matter how much I felt like I didn't fit in, right? So my mom was a little darker complected. My dad was dark skinned, and now you had this light skinned yellow boy in the family. So you can understand that even the statements and things that will be said, to my mom, to my dad, and to me, at that age. So it was just a consistent attack on my identity at an early age. But when I understood, who, Genesis 1:27, when it says that I was created in his image and likeness, and I started to truly understand who I was through a series of events. It wasn't like just I snapped out of it. It was a series of events that culminated, you know, at a certain event that said, okay, let me get myself together.
Mm.
So basically, I just say that I'm a reformed knucklehead.
Right. So take us to because one or two of these accidents happened in your adolescence. Is that correct?
That is correct. When we were
So,
stationed in Great Falls in Montana, the first one was I was about 13, 14 years old. And so my mom and dad attended this church out there in the military, really tight knit community of our people who assimilated to worship together. And so my mom is a really an amazing singer. She was definitely an amazing singer then, but she still has a pretty strong voice. So we were going to this choir competition in this place called Missoula, Montana, which is probably about a couple hours from Great Falls. And we were in a church van at the time. So we were up on this pass. It's called Rogers Pass in Montana. If you ever look at it, it's one of the highest points in Montana. It's a one lane road up and down. It looks like if you look at all the old school TV shows of the 70s and you see them up and down that little one lane highway, that there's a cliff on the other side of it. That's basically what we were on. And so the weather was great when we were headed there. And as we begin to get into midway through the trip, it started snowing and sleeting and icing. So as we're climbing this pass, the van starts to slip. The van starts to slide because of the ice. And literally that van was sliding to the edge of the cliff. And it's probably about 10 to 15 people in this, passenger van, a Dodge passenger van. And they're all hollering, screaming, praying, calling the name of Jesus. And literally that van stopped within about a foot of the cliff. Now, mind you, if this van falls through the cliff, our remains will still be down there. That's how far down that pass is. Now, I don't know if they've done anything to kind of upbuild it since then, but this was in the mid 80s, the early late 80s. And so God saved our lives on that occasion, right? And that was the first occasion that I had with a near death experience. And that was, like I said, about 13 or 14. And then probably about a year or year and a half after that, me and my friend, it was the summertime. And, back in those days, we could ride bikes and we could just leave and be gone all day. No cell phone, no nothing. The way you know where everybody was at is if you see a group of bikes in somebody's front yard. So we would be gone all day because it was summer. And so it was getting late. And my mom and dad said, you be home before the street lights come on. So them street lights was getting ready to come on, and I know if I miss them street lights, it's going to be a problem.
Right.
And we end up running to one of the members of the church who had a single cab like Nissan, one of them little mini Nissan trucks. So he's like, I know you and I can't even remember which friend of mine it was, but I know y'all got to get home. I'll take y'all home. So he put our bikes in the back. My friend gets in the middle. I'm on the outside. Back in the day, you just ride with your arms sticking out the window because it's, in Montana, it wasn't that hot. So as we're heading home, we stop at the stoplight. The light turns and he's getting ready to turn. He's making a left turn. And as he's making that left turn, it's like somebody just opened the door. And I literally fell out of the truck, hit my face, road rash on my face. But by the grace of God, there was not a car behind me, because if there was a car behind me, it would have ran me over. It was too quick for it to stop, right? But again, God being inherently who he is, and he everything that the enemy meant for bad, he meant for good, right? So now I can say, I know that there is a God, right? I have an experience with God, so you can't tell me that there isn't a God, right? Because there's no way that I should be here. So that's number two. That was the second time. So I just had a rash on my face. We got home. You know, my mom's having a fit. I'm okay. You know, I don't really understand the gravity of the situation now. But as you get older and you start to think back, as you look back over your life and think things over, what the song say, I can truly say I've been blessed. I have a testimony. And now I know I got a testimony.
That's Amen. Right. Amen. So go ahead on and let's stay on this path of these accidents. You had another one, right? And then
so we had 3 car accidents, and then the ultimate event, the crescendo. So fast forward to now, I'm in the military, and I'm in Fort Ord, California, about 22 years old, I think, around that time. So me and my friends used to always go to this club in San Jose, which is about an hour ride from Post Op. We were stationed in Monterey, but they had this club on Thursday night. It used to go down in that club. It's called DB Cooper's. So me and my partners, we would go there every Thursday night. But this particular night, we had a 4-day weekend coming up. So I had a friend of mine. His name is Israel. He was supposed to be the designated driver. He was not supposed to be drinking. It was me, and my friend Stacy, and my friend Israel. So we had an old school Lincoln Continental with that short body trunk. So we were kicked it heading home. Now, mind you, I'm 22 years old, so I've had some libations. I've had a good time. Mm-hmm. Stacy's had a good time, right? We just doing what you do at 22 years old.
That's right.
So we getting ready to head back to Post. We stopped at like Jack in the Box, which was the local hangout spot. So it was about 3:30 in the morning. We're headed back to Monterey. So the last thing I remember is laying down in the back of the car going to sleep. My boy Stacy was in the front. Israel was driving. So I don't know how long we were into the ride, but I know that I fell asleep because I was inebriated. And then I actually thought I woke up dead. Now that sounds crazy, but the only thing I saw when I was woken up, when they woke me up, so to speak, is I had this bright light shining in my face, this super bright light. Now that's not the last thing I remember. I just remember getting in my boy's car, going to sleep in the back seat. So as I'm getting coherent and the police officers are checking on me, and he's checking my pulse and checking to see if I'm breathing, and I'm like, bro, what's going on? And I look over and I see the car, and it had ran up the back of a trailer of an 18-wheeler, and it literally looked like I don't even know how my boys that were in the front seat, I don't understand how they weren't decapitated, because the front of that car was smashed all the way into almost the back. So I don't know if Stacy just I can't even tell you, to be honest with you. But there's another instance of God's grace covering me, right? I have a praying grandmama, I have a praying mama, I got a praying daddy, and they've been praying for me all my life. And even before that, people say, God got something for you. You're gonna be this. And I'm like, Jonah, I'm not doing none of that. Forget what you heard. I'm gonna just live my life and be me. So again, God's grace showed up in the situation and covered me. And me being a foolish young man, not wise, I literally went to the hospital. They took us to the hospital. I got released from the hospital. That next night, that Friday night, I was in the NCO club at Fort Ord.
The one you say be jumping.
Yeah, and that it was jumping too. Now look, my back hurt a little bit, but I'm back up in the club. And so, I guess God said, you know what, man, you use a hard case, but I'm finna take you there, and I'm gonna bring you to a point where you surrender to me, And the beautiful thing about God, sometimes he has to kick you off that horse, because if he doesn't kick you off that horse, you'll never look up.
That's right.
So it's good that he knocked me down, because when he knocked me out, I was finally able to look up and realize who he was. So the fourth instance is now I get shot at point blank range, 380 pistol in the stomach. So we again kicking it, getting ready to go out, hanging with my partners. I had moved in with one of my friends. They had got divorced. They had their own house. So me, him, and my other partner. It's always three of us, huh? Every situation is always three of us. Now that I noticed that. So we're kicking it. We're getting ready to go out. We get to moving around. We get to some places. Some stuff take off. And the next thing I know, I got a pistol pointed at me. And I was like, don't point that pistol off at me. And the next thing I heard is, "Bah." And you don't feel it for the first 30 seconds to a minute. And then the next thing I know, I just fell to the ground. I said, you shot me. Now, that is a feeling I would not ever wish on my worst enemy, because it's like somebody took a fireplace poker, stuck it in the fire until it got as hot as it could and just stuck it in your flesh. So it's this burning sensation. And so now my friends realize what's going on. They're over me, you know, they're trying to attend to me. And all I remember saying, man, I just want to go to sleep. I said, I just need to go to sleep and the pain will go away. So by that time, the paramedics get there, and I remember what I had on, and this might date me a little bit, but I had on some black Jabot jeans. I had a Dallas Stars hockey jersey on, and the paramedics get there and they cut the jersey off me. And I'm like, don't cut my jersey off me. I just paid whatever. Like, I'm crazy right now. My mind ain't thinking. And so the next thing I remember is them putting oxygen over my face, and I fade to black. Now, I guess as I'm out, right, I'm having an out-of-body experience, because now I feel this dark magnetic pull pulling me. So I know how I was living at that time. I wasn't like no thug or nothing like that, but I wasn't living right. I was doing what most young men at that age do, right? Kicking it, having a good time, chasing after women, doing all that stuff. So as this dark magnetic force is pulling me, out of nowhere, I feel this. I see this bright light, and I hear this voice say, "Not yet. It's not time." And then immediately I wake up maybe 2.5 days later, and I see my dad sitting in the hospital with his Bible open. I see tears rolling down his eyes, and I see that man praying for me. And that is probably what saved me, because I had praying parents, I had a praying grandmother. So now as I'm going through this situation, I get a fever that they can't break. So I literally had a fever of like 103, 105 for like 3 or 4 days straight. They could not figure out what to do to break the fever. And as me and my mom talk about it now, because my dad told her to stay there, he came immediately to Texas. I was in Fort Hood, Texas, to check on me. And my mom talks about the weight loss that he experienced just in that week and a half of being there with me, because he couldn't eat and he was fasting and he was praying. So we go through that, and they finally break my fever. Then the next thing you know, I got blood clots in my lungs, and they had to go in and remove the blood clots. So I had two surgeries. The initial surgery to save my life. But here's the magnificent thing about God. Even in the midst of when the enemy is trying to take your life, God will always orchestrate, and he's ultimately in control.
That's right.
The bullet hit the only organ in my body that repairs itself. That is the liver.
The liver.
It missed the doctor said it missed my aorta by like a centimeter. Now, if it hits my aorta, I bleed out. I die.
Of course.
The bullet was so strategically placed that it was close enough to my spine that it didn't paralyze me. So they didn't want to go in and pull it out, because they feared that it would paralyze me. So I still have the bullet in my back. Every time I go to the doctor and they take an x-ray, they always bring it up. I got this zipper, they call it the gangbanger zipper. So I got a line from like right up under my chest all the way to my navel. That's where they did the first surgery. I got a back here from across where they had to go in and remove my blood clots. I don't have feeling on the side of my body, because they broke my ribs to get to my lungs. And so it's numb there. And then I got like these little prick holes where they poke tubes in me to drain the blood out of me. I literally had morphine intravenously hooked up to me. So like that first week, all I did was I would wake up, I would be in so much pain, I hit the morphine to go right back to sleep. So
So, Carlton,
Mm.
now you've been talking for a little minute, says so much. I've counted 5 different encounters, near death encounters. So I want to know what stands out as the moment that confirmed God wasn't finished with you yet. And in that too, or what was the turning point that made you realize something in your life had to change? Because you took us from adolescence, 13, 14, up until, just recent, well, more
Yeah.
recent than, your younger years. And it's like, he been at you. So you got something for this world. So what was the turning point for you?
That last encounter, right? At that point, it's like, okay, God, whatever you saying to me, you got me now. There's no mas. When I had that experience of that dark force pulling me, and it was like it was sucking my soul.
Mm.
At that point, I'm like, this ain't no game. This is real.
Right.
Don't let nobody tell you ain't no hell. It's a real, right? And then to see that experience that light, and for it to say it's not your time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not finished with him.
Mm-hmm. So,
And to wake up, that was at that point, I'm like, okay, God, I surrender, no mas. And to be honest with you, I still made some mistakes after that, but that was me not dealing with my traumas and my triggers from, because I actually after that I had PTSD and anxiety and didn't even know that, because that wasn't really a big thing in the mid to late 90s when this happened to me. So I'm dealing with all these things, right? Not only the trauma of my childhood, right? The attachment issues and wanting the affirmation and wanting the love and wanting to fit in with people. So I am going through life with all these things, these weights on me, and I haven't been equipped to deal with them. And so I still made some mistakes in there, but at that point, I believe that God said His heart is aligned with me. I became spiritually aligned, because at that point, my thoughts, my actions, my priorities, and everything that I did was I wanted to be in agreement with God's will, time, and the truth for my life of who He called me to be.
keyword, you said traumas and triggers.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a family, and you could tell us, briefly about well, not briefly, take your time, telling us about your family. But in that, I want to ask the question. So after you finish explaining, you know, your marriage, your family, kids, tell us what it was like growing up without your biological father, and how did that impact the way you view manhood or even God as father?
Okay, so first off, my family, I have a plethora of kids.
Mhm.
I have 5, right? I'm married to a beautiful woman. Her name is Kara Eichelberger Young, or Kara Young. She's from St. Louis. She's from the Lou. We've been married about 7 years. This is my second go round with this, right? And if you want to unpack like even the issues like with the first one, the majority of that was my fault, because again, I wasn't healed and I really didn't understand who I was. I had a basis, but I didn't really dive deep enough to pull the root of the weed out of my spirit, so that God could allow the real fruit to grow and blossom, and I could really treat and love people the way that they need to be loved. So my oldest daughter. She is 29. She's an entrepreneur. She has her own business and she's doing her thing. And the crazy thing about her, even she had to have surgery like the day after she was born.
Hmm.
She literally was in NICU for like a week and a half. Like the day she was born, the next day she went in surgery. I
Mm.
got twin boys that are 25, and one is named Armand. He's the oldest. And then I have a son named Alan. Alan is in the military. He's currently in Korea. I have a 16-year-old daughter named Addison, and then we have an 11-year-old who's so the first 4 with my first wife, and then the baby girl, is with my wife now. So that is the family in a nutshell. We're a work in progress. We're continuing to grow, and I'm continuing to learn to lead and be the man that God has called me to be. Right. So,
Hmm.
like, been my thing is right, being the king, the priest, the prophet of my home, and understanding how to read the room, give love, and love and live like Christ. So as far as dealing with traumas and triggers and things of that nature is really, it takes a lot to really dig and dive deep into that, because sometimes you think you're all right. Growing up, I didn't think that really played a part in how I showed up
Mm.
in my relationships, right? I'm like, he didn't want to be around me. I don't care. That's his loss. That's his bad. I'm all that. He missed out on me, right? But I'm not understanding, like there was an innate desire that I wanted to like fit in, and I wanted to get affirmation. So, just trying to perform, right, to show people that I'm good enough, right? Or
Mm.
even as a young man, like you chase after so many women, and you feel like the more women that you have, the more that you're affirmed and the more that you love, all the while not realizing that this is just an attachment style, and I'm latching on to people because of that need to be validated, right?
Mm.
So what happens when you don't deal with the trauma and you want to be validated? You start offering yourself to people at a discount,
Mm.
and they will take you at that discount
Mm-hmm.
because you don't know who you are and you don't know your self-worth. So, those traumas, that if you don't take the time to figure out what they are and deal with it, and I believe that we all have some type of inner barometer, or inner guide that lets us know that, something's a little off with me. Why is it that this turns out this way in all these situations? And so for me, understanding that I needed to start doing like some deep dive and really do some work, is every relationship I had, it was carnage behind me. It was
Mm.
destruction, it was carnage. And who was the common denominator? It was Carlton Joseph Young. One time you can say, "Oh, it was that person," but if everybody has the same experience with you, it is probably you. And so that was what it was. Everybody had the same experience with me, and so I had to say, you know what, I got to do better, right? I got to be better. Like I got to be the cycle breaker in my family, right? I don't want to continue this cycle. I don't want to show up like this no more. I don't even want to live like this no more.
Wow. So you said something very profound. When you don't deal with trauma, trauma deals with you. What moment made that statement really, really real for you? Now you just spoke of this is your second marriage, right? And
Mm-hmm.
most men have a little hard. I'm not even gonna put it on men. Sometimes people, it's hard for a person to take some blame for something. Nobody wants to be the blame for anything. So to hear you actually confess that and say, "Hey, I made some mistakes. My own self identity traumas and things like that." To hear you stand up on that is really commendable, and I thank you for that. And we're getting into why you've been able to start the programs and things that you have, because understanding and realizing and looking at yourself and reflecting has helped you to see that there was a need. So you said if you don't deal with your traumas will deal with you. Can you unpack that for us?
Yes. You think about it, like when you think that you've got away scot free with whatever the situation was, right? And so you start to living your life and moving on, thinking that, oh, this is sweet. I mean, there's no repercussions behind my actions, right? So we got to understand, for every action there's a reaction, and there's consequences and repercussions to our actions. And so what would end up happening is I would do things and I would think I would be scot free, and then when things get to going good, that thing would rear its head back up and pop back up, and now I got to deal with the ghost of my past. And that's why I say, if you don't deal with your traumas and triggers will deal with you, and they're going to deal with you when you think life is going well, right? I've learned within myself that I'm one of those people that God never lets get away with anything.
Mm-hmm.
I think I got away with it, but it always rears its head up. So I had situations where I did things, I did dirt, I didn't show up the right way, and it ended up biting me in my backside on the end. So if you look at it this way, if you don't pull a weed up at the root, that weed is going to grow up and spread. You know that weeds spread seeds. Weeds can spread seeds too.
That's right.
So if you don't pull and oftentimes when you pull a weed up, you realize how far that weed goes. That
Wow.
weed sometimes stretches 3 or 4 feet. So if you don't deal with that weed and pull that weed up all the way at the root, it's going to spring back up. And so that's what typically happens, like with your traumas and your triggers, because you're not pulling the weeds up, you're cutting it at the surface. And what's happening is it's growing up and it's spreading more seeds, which bring more weeds. And now the soil is contaminated.
Mm-hmm.
And when the soil is contaminated, you can't have a good harvest. So that's what was happening my entire life is I was not pulling the weeds up at the root, my issues up at the root. I was not pulling my traumas up at the root. And so they were growing back and spreading more seeds, more carnage, more issues, more problems. And it just got to a point where, I would look in the mirror at myself, and on the outside, I'm not an ugly dude. I feel like if I dress up, I'm okay, right? And I think I present this image, but when you really get to the crux of the matter, and you look in the mirror and you don't like yourself, you don't like what you see. That's a sobering moment. Like, when you're around everybody else, it's all he ha ha. But when you get in by yourself and you have to deal with you, and then the enemy's telling you what you ain't and what you did and who you'll never be because you ain't nothing. And you've showed up as not being anything, and you basically validated what he said by my actions. It's like something has to change.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to waste a life, right? I don't want to waste the time. I don't want to waste the opportunity, because many people don't get this opportunity that I have. Why should as my grandma would say, I should be pushing up daisies. So those things led me to looking at myself, and the PTSD and anxiety got so bad at one point I would have to drink myself to sleep. And so I was headed to an early grave if I didn't deal with it, right? Now I knew who God was, but these demons were like that I'm not dealing with. They are tormenting me. And now I'm like the man at the tomb, right? In Mark 5, that man at the tomb that's hurting himself and doing things that are not constructive to being the man that he really wanted to be, because I wanted to be a great man of God. I wanted to be somebody powerful in God, but my actions were saying other things. So here's the things: your history shapes your beliefs shape your actions shape your results. So my history led to the way that I believed and saw myself. My belief led to the actions, and then the actions led to the results. And ultimately, I started not to like the result of who I was. So they say, if you don't like the output, change the input.
That's
and
right.
So at that point, I said, I'm fixing to change the input. I'm going to change my actions so I can get a new result.
That's good, Carlton. And you said it. You took us right to what the title is, from tombs to testimony. So we here. You done walked right into it. So come on and bring it to me. Now you said the word tombs. So tell our viewers what it is you do, the programs you have for men, right? And listening to your story, I'm seeing where it came from. But if you got your little, your one liner, let me go ahead on and give you that space to tell us about what prompted you with that. As we can hear your story, we can make that out, but I'm sure you have your pitch, right? So pitch to my men, what it is you do, the programs you have, and I want you to explain too what it means to help men leave the tombs of their past. So in whatever order you want to hit the.
Okay. Well, thank you. So we have this community. It's called Mindset U, and it's a men's community. It's a place of accountability. It's a place of transparency, and it's a place of growth. So the mission of Mindset U is to transform men's mindset, empower them to be the men that God called them to be, and equip them with the tools, knowledge, and wisdom to carry out that assignment that God has given them. So basically, it's Genesis 1 and 28. It's for them to be fruitful, to multiply, subdue, and have dominion. That is what God called us to do in the very beginning, right? The law first mentioned that's what he wants men to do: be fruitful, multiply, lead. Subdue and have dominion. So, what led me to this community is God said, Carlton, I took you through all this and I brought you through all this. So now I want you to reach back and help men that look just like you, because you were in isolation, suffering at the tombs, hurting yourself. And if you read Mark the 5th chapter, that man was in isolation. He was isolated from society and he was hurting himself violently. That may look a little different for men these days. It could be too much drinking. It could be promiscuity. It could be drugs. It could be self-denial, self-doubt. It could be a plethora of things that we as men deal with, right? But what I realize is most men don't have a place like Kelly. Y'all got places that y'all can go everywhere. Y'all got brunch. Y'all got y'all groups. You got your girlfriend. But most men, we will not be transparent because we don't want anybody to see a chink in our armor.
That's right.
Because if you see a chink in my armor now, I believe you have something up on me, or I'm less than a man in your eyes. But the Bible says we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. And my testimony can be used to set somebody free, right? If I don't open my mouth, I'm delaying somebody else's breakthrough. I'm delaying somebody else leaving captivity. So when I understood that everything that I go through was not just for me, it was for somebody else,
Right.
for them to see who God is. And if God could do it for Carlton, then I know he could do it for me.
That's
So
right.
I formed a community called Mindset U. We meet every Tuesday and Thursday at 6:30 to about 7:40, 7:15, sometimes 7:30 on Zoom. And we basically are going through the word. We're talking about like just different ideologies within principles within the Bible to help them become the men that God has called them to be, right? So that they can be spiritually aligned. They can walk in their purpose, right? They can walk with authority, hold their head high, and be free in Jesus, right? So that's what we do. Typically it's about 35 to almost 50 men every Tuesday and Thursday morning. And then off of that, God had me create a experience. It's called the Genesis. The first one was called Genesis Summit, Leaving the Tombs. That's where we talked about Mark 5 and help men leave the tombs of their past, right? The issues that your mama told you wasn't gonna be nothing. You don't know your daddy. You got mama issues. You grew up in a drug infested. Like all of us got something that we are dealing with, and so it's just a space where we can get together. We can help each other align with God's plan, and we can hold each other accountable. And so if you say, I want to be this man, that's what we're expecting you to do in Mindset U. And we're going to ask you, well, what are you doing to become that person? So when you slip and you fall, we're going to give you some staunch discipline. We're going to love on you, but we're also going to tell you, hey, that ain't what's up. So, we did the first summit March 2025. It was had about 50 men show up. And God told me to do it in 2024, but I was like, ain't nobody coming to no summit that I'm doing. And yeah, I see the picture right there. So you see his room packed full of men. I brought in different speakers to address different areas that we as men deal with. Forgiving ourselves. We talked about forgiving ourselves. We talked about leaving the tombs. We talked about pulling up the roots. We talked about it had to happen. So we just had an amazing time. And the crazy thing about it was not a brother in that room who did not cry that day. And
Wow.
several people come to me and said, man, I have never been in a space like that where I've seen men that open and that free. So we're going to come back in March 2026 in the same area, Frisco, Texas, and we're going to run it back. And this one is going to be called Genesis 2.0, Rooted and Rising, based on Psalms 1 and 3, right? Where it says he's like a tree planted by the streams of water that yields its fruit in season and its leaf does not wither. So it's time for the brothers to plant their roots so God can water them and they can yield that fruit in their season, right? So we can go out and be the change agents of the world, right? Because I believe that God has a group of men that he's going to release on this earth. And again, we have to. I tell the fellas all the time, right? We're not the thermometers. We are now the thermostat. We set the tone in our families, in our homes. We set the tone in our businesses. We set the tone in our communities, and we model what manhood looks like. And that's one thing that I can say that my father showed me how a man is supposed to lead. And now what he's given me, I can build on that foundation. And God has continued to build it and grow me. And just, being in communities like we are with the Daniels Den and, Uncommon Calling, being in places like this has further, solidified me and prepared me to be the person that God is calling me to be.
Absolutely.
Carlton, the Lord took you through all of that to bring you to this point in your life and what have you, and to see, a lot of those men, brothers that's in that audience that I looked at or what have you. So, and what they, and the reason they're there because they probably didn't know there was a community of guys like yourself, willing to open up and share the things that you actually went through or what have you. And you keep talking about rooted and all that stuff. It just reminds me of stuff that I listen to that PD talks about all the time. A tree, it bears its own fruit, but a tree doesn't eat its own fruit either.
Right.
That fruit is for others. It's, what I'm saying? So he took you through all of that to share what you went through to a community of guys that didn't know there was a community of guys out there like yourself or what have you. So, I mean, I can go back and forth with you on some life changing experiences too, but not to your extent, but I mean, and if I did share some of the things that I went through, then it would probably be a little bit embarrassing for my family or what have you. So, some things I'm gonna have to take to my grave,
right,
for lack of better terms, But
actually, you don't, man. When you get in the community of brothers, right?
Correct.
It's a no judgment zone, right? So what you talks about with us, that's not that we don't. That's not like it's explicitly stated that we don't pillow talk. What this brother is sharing in this group, it stays in this group, right? And so we're very selective. We pray about who God, brings to the group, and basically it's not open just for anybody to join. Like when you come in, you got like a questionnaire that you need to answer, and the goal needs to be like, I want to be the God version of who I'm supposed to be, not this other stuff that I've been on. So we don't condone womenizing, we don't condone not taking care of business, we don't condone wasting your talent. Like it's a place of accountability. So I say all that to say that when you can come to a community or you build a community like that yourself, where it's okay for you to tell people your mistakes, right? Because it's crazy in the group, man. The men will share, right? And one guy will share something. Like we had a guy to share. I won't say his name or nothing, but he finally shared that he had been sexually molested at like 13 years old at a church camp. And then you had 2-3 other men on the call that, man, thank you for sharing that. I dealt with the same thing. So now we're not gonna go say so and so just said no. It has to be a transparent, safe space for men to, because that's the weight that we carry, right? Because now, and then he talks about how he responded to being violated by finding as much women as he could, right? That way he was saying in his mind, oh, I'm not gay. I'm not gay. Because he's sleeping with multiple women, not understanding that, again, that's an attack on his identity.
Correct.
And so the places like that, like we need those places, we as men, because if not, what we end up doing is we end up with anxiety, we end up with high blood pressure, we end up with cholesterol, we end up alcoholics or worse.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And all that stuff kills you.
Exactly.
You said, the kink in the armor with why most men don't want to talk, right? In your opinion, why do they struggle so much with vulnerability or find it hard to open up about what's really going on inside? Like the kink in the armor, like, who said we can't have a kink in the armor? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is that? So I want you to speak to that, and then I want you to tell us how your Genesis men's movement and the podcast help them walk in that Genesis 1:28 mandate? Like what are your, besides talking and sharing and finding out someone else is in the same boat, which is very comforting. I don't mean that in a bad way, like, but it's
Right.
like, oh, good, I'm not by myself. Like, how are you handling it? Like, give us what's the practical that is helping these guys to come out and walk into that mandate of Genesis 1:28.
Well, like I'm pretty sure your husband can attest to. Growing up, you were told not to cry.
That's right.
You were told to suck it up. You were told you don't talk about it. What happens in this house stays in this house. So basically, we were trained to muzzle and stifle what was going on inside of us. And so as we get, further down the line, and it's okay to talk about mental health. It's okay to talk about things that happen to you because you didn't understand how it impact you, and why you haven't been able to, why you got 5 baby moms, or why you got 6 kids with three different women, and there's turmoil with all of them, right? So that's the reason that we don't share. But I think when you find somebody, men can spot authenticity from a mile away. We can tell when you ain't about what you say you about.
That's right.
Right? And so we gonna sniff that out. So when we don't feel the authenticity from you, or we feel like this dude is perfect,
Right.
so I can't connect with him because he doesn't understand what I've been through.
That's right.
But when you find a group of men or partners that you can really sit down with and just be open, honest, and transparent, and all it takes is one person
That's it.
to break the ice and to step to the forefront and to fall on the sword, so to speak. And once they see it and they see that you're okay, because at the end of the day, what you gonna do? Talk about me because I told you what happened to me? There's I punished myself enough. Now I know that Bob said, "He who the Son sets free is free indeed." He's freed me, so I don't care what you think about me. I will not allow you to continue to use that to punish me for
Right.
mistakes in my past. Right? The Bible says there is now therefore no condemnation. So I am okay with telling you what I've done. And if you look at me strange or you don't want to be around me, that's fine. That means that you are not my sphere of influence.
That's
That
right.
means that you're not the circle I should be with.
That's right.
So I don't have a problem with that. And I think for what we've been able to do in Mindset, you, not just me, it's every man that's in that group me's platform. It's about 163 men in that group me right now.
Wow.
And in 2023, we started with like 5, and it's just grown organically. And so I think when whoever is at the forefront, I'm in the forefront right now. And so I know that God can use anybody to build that platform. So I don't never get too big, too high, too low. It's all what God is doing. But when I say these are the mistakes I made, I'm telling you these because I don't want you to fall in that same ditch.
Right.
I'm telling you this because I don't want you to crash out. And if it's only one person that it resonates with, I've done what God wanted me to do, right? God is going to impact who he wants to impact at a certain time. He going to plant the seed. He going to water it. He going to increase it when he sees fit. When that person is ready. What they say when the student's ready, the teacher will appear. I realize that the teacher's been teaching you the whole time.
Absolutely.
And it's just that moment that it clicks. So that's the reason that I believe that men are ashamed of it. One is the shame of what they've done, and we think that we are the only one going through this.
Yeah.
We think we're the only one that has experienced this issue. But when you start to understand that every one of us got a similar story, or a different story with the same result, and when we are able to just understand that and we start sharing those things, now the devil cannot keep us isolated. He can't keep us bound.
That's
if you
right.
think about it, like if you look in the Serengeti, what do the lions usually do? They usually isolate the weakest
The weakest
prey,
link. Right.
and that's their food for the day. So in isolation, you become weak because the enemy can just beat you down. He's playing with your mind. He's telling you you're not good enough, and you're just ruminating on the mistakes that you made, and you're playing this thing is like a movie. But when you can get with a group of men and we can say, "You okay today?" Or like we got this other group I'm part of. It's not my group, but every Sunday they meet at 7:00 in the morning. It's called Men's Walk and Talk. They just get together and they walk for about 2 to 3 miles. And the motto is you walk up to a brother and say, "You good, bro?" And when we ask you, "Is you good, bro?" You should tell us how you really feeling.
Mm.
Like, or I'll drop in the chat, man. I'm doing a mental health check. How are y'all doing today? Be real, so we know how to pray for you, and we know how to maybe just reach out to you and be able to walk you through. Because again, I've seen it so many times when somebody finally says what they're going through in the chat or on the Zoom call, and another brother taps in and said, "Man, I just went through that exact same thing. Here's what you do. Here's how you handle it, or here's how I handled it." And so that's the beauty of that thing, and that's why we had the Genesis Summit, and that's kind of why I had the Genesis, the Renaissance of Manhood, because I want to bring everybody back, all the fellas, back to being leaders in our communities. Because if you look in the 50s and the 60s and going into the 70s, we had a pretty decent, strong representation of leadership in our communities. And then somewhere along the line, that is slowly dissipated, and now you see what you see. But if we can just get a group of men, right, a small group of men, it says one to chase 1,000, two can chase 10,000. Just imagine we got 1,000 men across the country with one mind, one accord, one mission. You know the change that we could affect through Christ.
Yeah, you can almost cover the earth. That many men.
Exactly.
Carlton, this is my, I'm on Fred's computer, so I'm barely touching stuff and stuff coming on the screen, but I got to get used to this. This is a great number. I wanted to go back to this Zoom. This is a lot of men,
Yeah.
coming together that normally don't talk. And so, some just don't want to get in touch with that emotional side. So they're not going to show, they're not going to come, or they're going to feel like this just is not going to help me. Oh, that ain't for me. Oh, I'm all right. It's macho, right? So for the man who's watching and says, I'm fine. I'm not living among tombs. What would you say to help him recognize areas he might still need healing?
Well, you just look at your relationships. Sit down with your children and have an honest discussion with them. How do they view you? How do you show up for them? I thought I was an amazing dad, but I had a discussion with my sons specifically, and they told me some things that was hard to swallow, right? And if you don't think you need help, then you already need help.
Yeah.
Because we all need help in some way, shape, form, or capacity.
Yeah.
So if you think you good and you got it figured out, then you probably failing already, to be real with you, right? Because there's always room for improvement, right? There was always room to be 1% better. And so if you just look at your life, like we talk about that, we have 5 pillars that we focus on in Mindset U. It's the spiritual pillar, it's an emotional pillar, it's mental, it's physical, and it's financial. If any one of those pillars is if there's an unjust way to any of those pillars, you need help. Because if your money ain't right, then your mental ain't right.
That's right.
If your money ain't right, your physical probably ain't right neither, because you probably not taking care of yourself because you're thinking about how I'm gonna make these things happen.
Right.
If your mental and emotional ain't right, then your money, your physical probably ain't right neither.
That's right.
Because you're probably doing something to anesthetize the pain. Smoking weed, drinking, chasing women, you're doing something to make yourself forget what you're dealing with. But until you come to God and you have that come to Jesus moment, and you get sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah.
And that's what happened to me. I got sick and tired of being sick and tired. I got tired of going through these instances, right? These little notes that God was dropping, saying, "Hey, CY, get yourself together. You belong over here. Get yourself together." And if we really look back at our life, I think every one of us can see where God was probably trying to get our attention, and we just blew it off and kept moving. So I would say find you some people that you really trust as well, that will tell you the truth about yourself.
Yes.
And say, tell me about myself. And you don't be in the spirit of offense. Be open and willing to hear what they say. Take notes, marinate on it, maybe come back a day or two later and then say, okay, this is what you told me. I took some time with myself. I prayed about it. I see what you're saying. I'm gonna do better. I'm gonna be better.
Mm. That sounds like a make-believe world for some people.
It can be a make-believe world, but when you understand that, I will tell you this, and this is I believe this wholeheartedly. There is an inner level of genius in every person that God puts on this earth.
Mm.
And if you do the work, you can unlock that inner level of genius, and you can be the person that God is calling you to be and live the life that you want to live, right? I'm not saying that you're going to be a millionaire. I don't mean that. Don't mean you're going to have a, just have this amazing life and everything's going to go your way. But when you unlock that level of genius that God has placed in you, and you are aligned with who He's called you to be, you will live a life of favor, because His presence is actually the prosperity that He brings to your life. And when you walk with His favor, you'll live a life that you'll never imagine, right? And success leaves clues, right? How you show up is what you get, right? Your actions either confirm or betray your belief system.
Mm-hmm.
So what do your actions say about you? What do you believe about you? And then that's the piece PD talks about all the time too. You can only experience life at a level that you see yourself.
That's right.
And then at the level that you see yourself is probably the level that you see God.
That's
So
right.
then if you don't really have that epiphany to understand who God called you to be, and you take the time to really say, hey, deal with me, God. Create me a clean heart, renew the right spirit.
Right. Yeah, I'm thinking about you listen to that statement you just made. My wife made a statement the other day. One of the guys that she came in contact with, and he made a statement as, you're only as close to God as you, what was it? You're only as close to
As you
God
want to
as
be.
you want to be.
You're only close
You're
to
only as
God
close to God
as you want to be.
I thought about that when you said, what you just said, as far as that last statement that you just made. That kind of came to mindset, and it's just a lot of truth in that. You're only as close to God as you want to be. I mean, he's already here for us, or what have you.
Exactly.
You just got to determine what your purpose in life is, and our purpose in life is to do exactly what you're doing, and that's to help your brother, man. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And then it's a multiplication thing. God don't add anything. He definitely don't subtract. He don't add anything. He multiplies everything that He's ever done.
Exactly. And here's the beautiful thing. When I became more aligned with God, I just had this peace come over me that's a peace that surpasses all your understanding.
Right.
Like no matter what's going on, I have some peace in my life, right? When I'm aligned with God, my decisions are purpose driven. They're based on my assignment, right? I focus on being obedient more than I focus on the outcome. But when I'm misaligned and we're living a life that we are trying to mimic what's going on in modern day society, and the new book of the book club is The Gap in the Game. That's going to be an amazing book, right? And it talks about like how we either focus on the gap, and when we focus on the gap, like how we are unaligned, and our life begins to crumble around us because we're focused on what we haven't accomplished. But when you focus on the gain and looking at how far you've come, like you get a peace and you have a fulfillment, right? So when there's never been a more fulfilling feeling for me than to see these men in this conference walking up to me and saying, "See, wow, man, this was amazing, man. This changed my life." Or one of the brothers walked up to me and said, "Man, something broke off of me in this conference today." But when I'm not aligned with God, right, I'm more worried about the outcome than being obedient to God, right? I'm more worried about being busy and getting results than worrying about what God is saying, right? Because if I'm faithful, God will bless me to be fruitful, and I won't have to strive to do it. He will open up doors that I didn't even expect. Like I got some doors open me to go. I'm going to speak at a corporation next Friday. That somebody put my name in that room, and I wasn't even looking. But when I'm aligned with God, He'll open up these opportunities, and now you're able to just experience the favor of God. But when I'm doing it my way,
come on,
I have here's the thing. When I did it my way, I would have anxiety even though I was successful.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, something's gonna happen. What's gonna fall apart? When is this gonna fall apart? But when I'm doing with God, if it falls apart, that means that something's better in place.
right?
So I just want every man to just understand, right, that If you trust God, if you give your life over to God, if you surrender wholeheartedly to God, he is going to bless you. He's never taken anything from me that he didn't bless me with better after I went through the process.
That's right.
Never.
Right.
Every step was an elevation.
Right.
And it was preparation.
Right. Carlton, I'm trying to get your information up to I want you to tell us how we can get a hold of you, and I'm trying to get that uploaded right now. So if you could talk about, I guess, your website, as I try to pull that information up on how we can get a hold of you, your website, or
Yeah, so my website is if you're looking for me to learn more information about what it is I do, I call myself a growth development strategist, not a motivational speaker, because we're going to come with strategy to help you grow and become the God version of yourself, not the best version of yourself, because the God version is 10 times better than who you think you can be.
come
Right.
on.
He says, my ways are not your ways, neither my thoughts, not your thoughts. Right. So I'm thinking that I'm supposed to be at a 10, but God can take me at to an 18 if I just allow him to do that. So I'm a growth development strategist is what I call it. You can find me at www.carlton-young.com. You can find me on YouTube at the @ I am 8020 Nation. You can find me on Instagram as well as at I am 8020 Nation. That is, as you see, I got this 8020 Nation shirt on. That's the name of my company, is the 8020 Nation. So it's basically based on 20% of your inputs give you 80% of your outputs. So if you don't, like I said, if you don't like what you're getting out, then change what you're putting in.
Come on.
Focus, control the controllables, focus on the things that matter, that you know move the needle, and stop messing with things that are unproductive. So that's where you can find me. And if any man is interested in joining the Mindset you can reach out to me on Facebook or Instagram. On Facebook, it's just Carlton Young. You can shoot me a DM, say I'm interested in joining the community. We can send you the link where you can become a part of the community. And if you say, hey, man, I want to come and be a part of that conference and that movement in March, it's March 7th, 2026 here in Frisco, Texas. I'll be releasing tickets for that here in the next couple of weeks. But that's it, the Genesis 2.0 Rooting and Rising Summit. I have some amazing speakers, and we're going to cover those 5 pillars that we talked about. We're going to talk about spiritual. We're going to talk about emotional health with men, mental health with our brothers. We're going to talk about taking care of your body and taking care of your money, right? We are kingdom citizens. We are under the king's dominion, and everything that we need is already inherently in us. It's just up to us to realize it, understand it, and move like it.
Yes. Absolutely.
That rooting and rising thing. That's the thing that we use in that church and what have you. So
yep.
And Frisco, that I got some partners out that way. Play baseball with me in college or what have you. So
okay, come on out, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to reach out to them and tell them. I'm sure they know some brothers out that way. You know what I'm saying, that, and if not themselves, you know what I'm saying, that would love to be a part of this this movement. That you have going on to. Just be an encouragement to guys that are in a position to where they don't realize that there are guys out there that have the same struggles that they have, and there's a community of guys out there that are willing to help.
Right. We got guys in that group that have lost their families because of bad decisions.
Right.
We got guys that are going through unemployment issues. So we got the gamut of what we face as men. And there's somebody in that group that is probably dealing with something that one of your listeners is dealing with and has navigated that thing. And so we just want to help people become free of those things so they can actually just ultimately be the man and the husband, the provider that they yearn to be, right? And if you're not a husband, just be the man that you want to be. Right. One of the most sobering thoughts to me, one morning, I'll say this and then I'll shut it down. God woke me up. It was like 3:17 in the morning. And he said, if I take you today, what kind of man will you be known as?
Wow. Carlton, you've been great. You talked about husband. I didn't do you justice when you were talking about your family. So I wanted to just bring them up again. I was trying to find the picture, and here's Carlton's beautiful family. The one son is missing. Yes, he said 5. If you like me, you count, and you like, wait a minute, you said you have 5 kids. The one son is in Korea, which I watched your podcast where you interviewed your son, and that was such a touching podcast. Y'all talking man to man now, right?
Yeah.
He was talking about how he got to go to Japan. That was this place he wanted to actually be stationed, and he actually got to go there. And so that's the one son, that the twin that you all don't see featured there. And there's the baby girl right there behind mama, right? This baby girl. Yep.
Yes, that's her. Yep, and that's my oldest to my right, to you, probably your left, and then that's my 16-year-old Addison, who's in driving school now. Lord help me. But yeah, that podcast, like, that was really a surreal moment for me.
Yeah.
And just to, even as you saw, I asked him about the mistakes that I made in life, and the beautiful thing about that had me in tears is he gave me grace. And he didn't have to give me grace.
Absolutely. That was so touching, and such a great idea to have him to be on with that. So Carlton, the time has been well spent today. I want to thank you so much again for sharing your story with us. And the name of our show podcast is The Neil's Appeal, because we want to leave our audience with something that they should be leaning towards, working on, focusing on, right? So in closing, after everything you've been through, the near-death moments, the rebuilding, the redemption, what's one truth you now live by that you wish every man could grasp before they hit their own breaking point? And then hold that thought, because I want you to go ahead on and just close it out with this. What's the Neil appeal? What's the Neil's appeal for our viewers this week? What takeaway or challenge would you leave with someone who's still living among their tombs, like maybe surviving but not yet fully alive? So however you want to answer either one of those questions, leave us with the Neil appeal, and then give us the one truth you now live by that you wish every man could grasp before they hit their own breaking point.
Okay, the one truth that I would like every man that's listening to grasp, and possibly some of your viewers, female viewers as well, is what you tolerate today will become the stronghold of tomorrow.
What you tolerate today
will become the stronghold that you fight tomorrow.
Ooh.
So when you don't hold yourself accountable, or when you offer yourself at a discount in a relationship, when you don't understand who you truly are destined to be, and you're not taking the time, the effort, and energy to find that assignment and that purpose, that stronghold of comfort will slowly kill you. So even if you're with a circle that doesn't want you to become the best version of yourself, you move from a circle to a noose. Because that circle is going to choke the life, the dreams, the assignment, and the potential out of you if you let it. So that thing is going to be harder for you to break free from if you just continue to allow it to happen. If you allow life to just happen, you're going to look up 5 years from now and you're going to say, nothing in my life is going the way I want it to go.
Right.
Like, you have to just take the bull by the horn, so to speak, and you have to understand that you can't control what's going on outside of you, but you can create the world inside of you by how you talk to yourself and what you put in yourself.
That's
guard
right.
Guard them gates, that eyes, that ear, that mouth, and basically change the algorithm of your mind up. Stop feeding yourself things that don't serve you well in this season. And I think we all know, like, it came a time when I had to change up my social media feed because the algorithm was giving me more junk, more nonsense, more trash. And that's what I was taking in as soon as I woke up in the morning, was trash.
And
So what they say, Not trash in, trash out, trash in, trash stays.
Trash stays, absolutely. And that's more so the reason, Carlton, why I don't really do social media.
Right.
My wife has a Facebook account. I don't even have a Facebook account, and she rarely dabbles with hers or what have you. But you just reminded me, the statement that you just made about, and of course, I listen to PD a lot, and he says some most profound things. I mean, that guy just so unbelievable to me. But
he's a sage, ain't he?
He's something else, man. Uh-huh. He said something pertaining to what you just said early on when I started listening to him. He said, "Whoever has your ear has your future."
That's true.
Whoever has your ear has your future, and that dude has my ear. I mean,
your future is bright then.
Oh, I mean, some of the things he said, man, is just unthinkable, but yet simplistic. You know what I mean? Obviously, he knows his word from Genesis to Revelation, what have you. But his application is just so so poignant. You know what I'm saying? With everything that goes on in life or whatever. And it's not about me, mine, I when he's speaking. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
He shares his life like experiences just like you did, but his feelings, he doesn't wear them on his shoulder, and he doesn't take advantage of it from the pulpit,
Right.
And I said all that to say we deal with that now.
I'm like I say, I'm part of the communities, and I love it, man. Actually, we're on the marketplace mandate call this evening, and he was dropping gems. So again, I'm like you. I want to. One of my favorite prayers is Psalms 90 and 12, where Moses said, "Ask God to teach me the number of my days, so that I may gain a heart of wisdom."
Yeah,
like I want to maximize every opportunity I get through God's Spirit today. So I don't want to waste no thing. I don't want to waste no time. I don't want to waste no opportunities because I've wasted enough of them. And I want to steward whatever He's given me well. I don't want Him to say, "You wicked man." If you read that, Matthew 25:14-30, He talks about the man who buried his talent. He said, "You wicked man."
That's right.
So if you're not maximizing what God is giving you, you're wasting an opportunity, right?
Yeah.
And so those are kind of what I want to leave with your viewers. And then finally, I would tell them, right, just to rely on their faith, right? Because when faith becomes our focus, then favor becomes our frequency.
When faith, come on, slow that down.
When faith in God becomes your focus, God's favor becomes your frequency. And when you're tuned into the right, remember back in the day when you would tune that dial on that radio, and if you weren't tuned in right, you would get the static. But when you got it just right, that thing was at high def.
Tune right
so
in.
when faith is your focus and you trust God to be who He says He is, right? Even though if you don't understand it, favor is going to become your frequency. And as our boy PD said, if you don't believe me, we got Bible.
That's right. You got Bible.
Go look at Abram when he said, "Get thee from your kinfolk."
That's right.
When he walked up that mountain with his, and every time that Abram did what God told him, he got blessed.
Yes, he did.
That's right.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
That's right. And so I'm just sitting here listening to your story and how close you came to death, Carlton, man. It just makes you think about the life, the God, He gave us all, man. And it's just amazing that, the things that He takes us through to make you, really appreciate, life in general. And obviously, you took the bull by its horns or whatever, and you just riding it out, man. And God, if you fall, He's there to pick you up every time. And I think I think you said it in part of your testimony tonight, He allows us to fall so we can keep looking up to Him.
Come on.
Exactly. And you know what the thing about it is? I've learned through everything that I went through, right? That pressure is a privilege.
You better know it.
And when you understand that God is squeezing something out of you, He's getting that oil out of you that can be used wherever you go, right? And then you walk into places and God allows you to shift things and things change. You understand why you had to go through. Man, when I sit back, me and my mom talk about it. So not only did I get shot, I'll share this with you real quick, and I know we got to close down, but so that was around 90, 95, 96.
Mm-hmm.
My dad broke his foot in 2000 and ended up dying of a blood clot in front of my mom in the house.
Mm.
So it was literally 4 or 5 years later. Fast forward to 2012, my baby sister dies of an aneurysm.
Lord have mercy. Mercy.
So I know it's something within my family, my bloodline, that we've been attacked that voraciously with that much frequency. Because, truth be told, if the devil would have succeeded, then it'd just be my mom, and my mom would probably be crazy right now.
That's right.
Wow, Carlton. Bars tonight, gems tonight, gold tonight, pearls tonight. You dropped it all tonight, Carlton, and we thank you so much for sharing. You reminded us that before you can lead, you've got to first lead yourself. Before you can lead others, you got to first lead yourself, which makes you face yourself. And that's a hard thing to do. Man, woman, boy, and girl. You cannot fulfill that Genesis 1:28 mandate, which is to all of us to be fruitful and walk in dominion, if you're still living among the tombs of your past. I think this title was so fitting for us tonight. And it goes right along with your Men Summit and what you have here. We got to get out those tombs. So we're going to leave you with Carlton gave us the Neil appeal. Fred, you got a Neil appeal for us to leave to?
No, it's just take the time to confront, what has you bound, and ask yourself, what tomb am I living in? And once you identify that, you have to move forward. You know what I'm saying? Like we said earlier, PD, one of his sayings is life's to live forward, but learn backwards or what have you. So if you haven't learned anything from this experience that Carlton shared from us tonight, and I'm sure he's learned a great deal from, and God allowed him to go through all that to, share it with some brothers that are in a position to where, they may be on that cliff about to fall off and never to be found again. So.
Don't do it my way, man.
Tell them again.
Do it the easy way, man.
Absolutely.
Right.
I'm like Mama Richard, man. I'm like Sunday morning, bro. I like it easy. So
that's right. That's the best way to do it.
Absolutely.
We definitely appreciate you, Carlton. We thank you so much. Fred dropped some nuggets too just now. We need y'all to remember, grace didn't just save Carlton. Grace can also rebuild you too as well. So we want to thank y'all for tuning in to the Neil's Appeal, marriage, relationships, and other stuff. We want to thank you so much for tuning in tonight with my mess up with the time, y'all. So some of them hanging in here. We don't have many comments because they sleep, Carlton. I'm sorry,
but it's so much worth going back to look at, because like you said, you dropped some nuggets on us, bro. And to every brother, man, that I know, they need to hear and see this for themselves.
And thank you for having me.
Yeah, man.
Thank you so much, Carlton. We're going to do our closing that we do. Stay back for me, if you will, and let's get another prayer in before we go. And wave bye to my guests, and we'll do our closing.
Bye, Neil's Appeal family.
Thank you so much, Carlton. We love you. Thank you.
We love you too. Thank you.